to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS Rifle TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast, with the weigh-in here, which has just concluded for BIVOL and Ramirez. I'm joined by Joshua BUATSI. All right, mate?
All good, man. Can't complain. That's kind of a bit, actually. You know, I'm always like, can't complain.
What can you complain about? Give me. Oh, I'll tell you what. Give me 2 top reasons why BUATSI's complaining right now.
I've only got one, and it's the mere fact that this is great. It's all nice and that. November the 5th, as it's for. But originally, I was meant to be on this. So, of course I feel away. Of course I do, come on.
You're complaining, but you also know boxing as well.
In what sense?
Outside of the ring, you know the game.
Yeah, exactly. So, wouldn't say it's a complaint, but I'm 50-50 about it, yeah.
Let's talk about the main event. We were just having a discussion prior to this conversation. BIVOL and Ramirez, and I've said it to Ramirez and also Oscar De La Hoya this week that Ramirez is 44-0, but there is a question mark over Ramirez in terms of level of opponents. No disrespect to who he's fought, but I'm asking the notable wins on his record. It's about time he fought someone like BIVOL. But you could also say that about BIVOL. You could look at his record and say, until he fought Canelo, that possibly the same thing.
I mean, I said, who do you think's got? You said what you said, but the question you asked is a good one. You was like, Josh, 44, but who has it been? Or name me 2 of the top guys he's fought, and I couldn't think of 2, if I'm being honest with you. But someone knows how to win. You're right in the sense of it depends who you've been fighting. Competition is very important. And when it comes to BIVOL, I think there are some names on BIVOL's record that I would say, Kug. And of course, Canelo recently. So off that, he's going to be very confident. Ramirez, he could be hungry to prove that he is on this level. So I think it's a good matchup. Again, if you're asking me who I think is going to win, you see me, I never know. I never sit here and I say, this guy's going to win, that guy's going to win. More time, I don't know. And it's like this as well. You'd favour BIVOL. Of course, he's boxed at this level a lot of times. He's defended it. But Ramirez, it's like we don't know much about him at this level, so we're about to find out.
We're about to find out, and like I said, his record speaks a certain language, but again, we have to look at kind of who he's fought, etc. No disrespect to them, obviously, but yeah, we have to look at kind of who they're fought in order to get to that record, because we've seen records across all weights, not just your weight, but I'm saying across all weights where yeah, they've got to a certain level because they've been matched correctly, etc. And I'm not suggesting that about BIVOL or Ramirez, but we'll see. We're going to learn a little bit more about BIVOL and Ramirez this week.
Yeah, definitely. What Ramirez does bring to the table, though, is a tall 75-pounder, southpaw, rangy, throws loads of punches, high-volume punches. So that will be very interesting. But of course, BIVOL, the footwork, the boxing IQ, the movement, the style. You know what I mean? So that'll be very interesting, but it could be a style that will trouble BIVOL's, or you might say, nah, what BIVOL's good at, he's very good at, and that will get him out of trouble. So I think I'm actually looking forward to it, because there's one thing always watching these fights online, but actually going to be there is what I'm looking forward to. It's going to be different to watch these guys live in the flesh. So I'm at least, that's something positive I can say. I'm going to be there to watch it live.
What's the chance of you jumping in the ring after and calling out the winner?
Bro, it's a good question, you know. It's a very good question, but
that's what you should be doing effectively.
You know what, King? It's pointless because the winner here is going to want to fight Canelo. Is it a losing battle? Like, you be honest. If BIVOL wins, what do you think he's going to want to do next? Either fight Beterbiev or rematch Canelo.
Yeah. Canelo's the money fight, we know that.
Yeah, you can't blame him for wanting to do that. So as much as I'm like, yo, fight me, you cannot blame him for wanting to do that. Ramirez, I'm not too sure what his options are. If he wins, he's probably going to call Canelo out and say, look, 2 Mexican fighters, let's fight. And that might happen, that might not. So, like you said, I know boxing. You know boxing, there's things outside what the public know or what is in the immediate sight. of what's happening, so I understand it.
Okay, so we're going to take Bivol and Ramirez out of the equation for a second. For you, who are we looking at?
It's like we're looking at the belts. Beterbiev is occupied, and this is the only belt left, and it's very occupied as well. So it's to, yes, get into meaningful fights, important fights, fights where you get paid, fights that keeps you relevant or you keep learning and building. Look, keep learning your craft, because when that time comes, you may only have one shot at it and you want to take it. So for me, it is going to be to keep learning. Just keep adding to what I know.
The priority for you, big money fights or the biggest fights? There's a difference.
Big money fights or the biggest fights?
Yeah.
It has to be big money fights because the biggest fights right now are not available. The guys that have the belts, they're not available. It's simple.
Have you left the British scene now?
No way. Because
I'm not talking about British level, because we know you're above British level. We know that.
That's why I said no, because my last fight with Spider was very entertaining. I enjoyed the whole build up, everything. And it was because we're two top British level fighters. That I enjoyed. So no, I'm not going to say no, I don't want to fight any of the top 5 because I'm above British level. No, I think that they're all good. So not having left the British scene, no.
So you would still today, even though you are chasing kind of that world title aspiration, which you should be doing at this stage of your career, I think anyway, you wouldn't discount any of those kind of, I could reel off 3 names for you right now that I'd love to see you in fights with, but you wouldn't.
Who are they? Quickly.
You against Anthony Yarde, 100%. You against Callum Johnson, 100%. I'd watch you against Lyndon Arthur as well.
I thought you meant 3 outside Britain.
No, I meant in Britain.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd watch all them fights.
Yeah,
and I said that to Lyndon Arthur. I know Lyndon Arthur obviously suffered a loss to Anthony Yarde, I'm just including that. Would I watch you and Lyndon Arthur? Absolutely. But that might not be in your plans to face those guys.
So they're not in my immediate plans in terms of some of the fighters. One person who is in my immediate plan though is if Yarde, do you know what? Top 5, if any of them call me and say, BUATSI, we would like to fight, let's make it happen, the money's good, what do you think? I'll be like, yep, let's go. Because right now, those that have the belts, as I've said, they're occupied. So you're right, top 5, if they did ring me and they said, oh yeah, the money's good, BUATSI, let's fight, whenever it is, I'll be like, cool, let's do that.
How much power do you have in calling out your own fights?
As a fighter, you can say, yep, I want to fight Tom. Tom has to agree to fighting you.
Right, if Tom agrees it, or verbally says it, why can't you make a step to say so? Let's forget Tom for a second. Anthony Yarde says on an interview that, yes, I would fight BUATSI. Why can't you and your team then exercise every possible avenue to make sure that you've done your part to try and make that fight happen?
We can. So it's not that we can't. If I said, I'm ready to fight you next, and he said he's ready to fight me next, we can make it happen. It's not that we can't not make it happen. Last I seen Eddie, he said, even if BT won it on their show, we'll do it. Of course, people talk and stuff like that, but it can happen. It's not to say both fighters can agree and the fight still won't happen. That's not the case.
Okay, we know boxing's are more complicated than that, and I was just kind of giving the basics of, like, if you wanted a fight and you're insistent that that's the fight you want, how much power do you have in order to make that fight? That was my question, really.
And you've seen now Yarde's fighting in January, so me saying I want to fight him any moment from now, it's irrelevant. He's got 3 belts on the line. It makes sense to not even think about me. If I had 3 belts on the line in the next 2 months and any other human being on the planet, listen to what I'm saying, any other human being is calling to fight me, I wouldn't think about it, Q. There's 3 belts on the line. You have to concentrate on that. So I hear what Yarde is saying. It's not like I'm like, nah, you don't want to fight X, Y, and Z. Nah, you got 3 belts on the line. Concentrate on that.
Well, like I said, boxing's a little bit more complicated than that, so we both know that as well, and the fans should do as well, because I think fans obviously quick to kind of, if a fight doesn't materialise, it's quick to blame someone in you ducked him or you didn't want to fight him, but we know that boxing doesn't quite work like that way.
The BIVOL situation, the WBA said no. Pascal situation, he refused to put VARDE testings in the contract. Said in the email that he would, add it in the contract, that's simple. it's not like you haven't failed a drug test before. You have. So to make sure that there's a even level playing field, put in a contract. That was simple. We didn't say pay £1 million just to fight me. No, we didn't say that. We didn't say that.
Last question for you. Do you consider yourself a potential pay-per-view star? Just a yes or no answer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. When I look at the two cycles from the last Olympics and the Olympics before that, the person that just jump out as having that potential is yourself. So I just wondered what you thought about that, because you've been a pro a few years now, you've had a few fights, etc. But to reach those levels of being a pay-per-view star where you could fight me and it's still pay-per-view, you believe that that's going to happen for you at some point in the near future, very near future?
Cougar, I'll tell you one thing. I was doing an interview a minute ago and I was saying to the guy, I said, in this life, you can't lose hope. You can't let people tell you what they think about certain things or negative opinions enter you. You always have to be hopeful. Or you can't lose hope. You cannot lose hope. So I have the hope that I will be all these things that I think. I don't ever wake up and think it might not happen. If that thought crosses my mind, boom, I take it out. I attack it, I take it out. You have to be hopeful, man. Whatever it is. But if we're talking about this situation, I'm hopeful that all of that will happen. Absolutely.
Okay. So you're on holiday or what? No.
No, not holiday. You know what happened to me this morning, bro. So I'm very happy to be alive.
No, I actually don't know what you're talking about. Generally don't.
Nah,
Go on.
Nah, we'll talk about it after.
Oh, really? Not for camera, no?
Nah, not for camera, man.
All right, we'll talk about it off camera.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious.
Nah, I'll tell you.
Do you think you can beat me on that, on an elbow challenge?
Let's have a go.
Elbow challenge.
Let's have a go.
All right.
That's the way.
Dad, 596. I'll do it now. I'll beat your 5 right now.
You've been practicing. Yeah, no, you've been practicing.
No, I haven't.
You've been practicing, bro. Come on, you've been practicing. What did you get?
Oh, you actually beat me up. That's because you gave it your all.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.